Violet here, second generation homeschooling mom of 3. I have an 8-year-old, a 5-year-old, and an infant. Today I wanted to share with you some of the things we checked out from the library in May. So let's get into it. So today I'm actually going to start with the things that my daughter checked out first. So all of her chapter books and graphic novels and things like that. This first one's called Comic Squad Lunch, and it's a bunch of different short comics from a bunch of different artists. So she thought this was really interesting, kind of seeing the different story styles and art styles of all of these different comic creators. And because the comics are fairly short, she read this pretty quickly. She also this month has really gotten into these rainbow magic fairy books, and there's a ton of different series. There's farm animal fairies, school days fairies, rainbow fairies, storybook fairies, friendship fairies. I don't know which series comes first, but she's read a ton of them. I think there's like holiday fairies too. They have a decent number of pictures. They're pretty easy for her to read. So she's read like a huge stack of these this month. She also started the Heidi Heckelbeck series, which also has a lot of pictures and pretty big print, so that was pretty easy for her to read and she enjoyed that. We found this Ranger in Time series at our library. It's this time traveling dog, and you experience different historical events through the time traveling dog. So this is the Rome one. There's our library had a bunch of different time periods, but my daughter was the most interested in this one. She said this year actually that reading about history was one of her favorite things, like of the literature units that we did. So that was a cool tie-in. We also found this Mindy Kim series. She's a Korean girl, so she goes to Korea, talks about the Mid-Autumn Festival and then the Lunar New Year Parade, all from a Korean perspective, which is kind of cool. My daughter goes to Chinese school, so she hears about it there. And then we lived in Japan for a few years, so I know a little bit about like the Japanese version of, or the way that Japanese celebrate those holidays, but neither of us had read about how they're celebrated in Korea, so that was a fun series. Haggis and Tank Unleashed is one of the Branches series. I think it's fairly new because I hadn't seen it before this, but it's all in color and it's a combination of graphic novel and then regular text, kind of transitioning between the two. So my daughter enjoyed these, and again, she read them fairly quickly. I don't think they have very many of these published yet. Similar to the fairy series, we found this Magic Animal Rescue series. It's about a girl who has to help various magical animals. It kind of reminded me of Zoe and Sassafras, but without such a big emphasis on like the scientific method. So my daughter enjoyed those. She also checked out these. We checked out all 3 of them. I'm not sure where the other one is. She might be reading it right now. This Earth Before Us series. There's 3 of them. We've actually read these before, but my daughter is taking a class on dinosaurs at our co-op next year, and so she wanted to reread these so that she would be ready. So these are really cool graphic novels that talk all about the different prehistoric periods. There's Ocean Renegades, Dinosaur Empire, and then the last one is Mammal Takeover. So yeah, Dinosaur Empire is the first one. And then the last series that my daughter read this month was this Cat Ninja series. It's on Epic, but we don't subscribe to any of those like digital things. So our library has the print version, and this is a graphic novel about a cat who's a ninja superhero. So my daughter really likes these books too. My son at the library got some, he's 5. He still likes these board books and these interactive books sometimes. So this one we've checked out before. You're pretending that you're mixing these colors. My kids like this book all right. So my son saw this one. It's by the same author, and he thought he would like it too, but this one is just too long and too complicated. We both agreed that this one was not very much fun for an interactive book. It went on too long and was a lot of things they were asking you to do were just too complicated. I don't know. We didn't like this one. We usually we've never checked out an interactive book we haven't liked before, so that was a new one for us. My son also really likes these books that play with language and letters. So this is The Little Eye Who Lost His Dot. So he spends the book looking for his dot, and then he finds it. So my son always likes ABC books or like anything that kind of is playing with letters and words. So he enjoyed that book a lot. I probably showed you this before. My son really likes Octonauts as well, so we've checked out this a bunch of times. But he likes this book. There's a whole book series, and then there's a TV show. And I like the TV show better. It has more science and more scientific facts in it. But my son really likes this book because it has a chart of all of the different kelp cakes that the Octonauts eat, and he likes to tell me which ones he would like me to try to make next. So that's what we've been doing recently, is baking various things to try to approximate kelp cakes. This next book is a search and find I found. I always really like checking out art, like famous art related search and finds, because it, I don't know, just exposes my kids to some more art, gets them to look at paintings closely. This is more Met Museum themed than any specific artwork, but at the back they do have some information about different exhibits at the Met. And none of my kids have been to the Met, but I've been to the Met a lot. So this was fun for me to look at with my kids, just because I've been to all of those places. The next thing we checked out were all of these money books. I recently posted a financial literacy video, and it did not include any of these books because I hadn't found them yet. These were all new at my library. But this is Little Damon Learns to Earn. So it's about him earning money in different ways. And then this Cloverleaf Money Basics book features different kids doing different financial things. So Gets a Great Deal talks about looking for bargains and coupons and sales and stuff like that. Ella Earns Her Own Money is another earning book. And talks about different jobs she can do to earn. And then Brody Borrows Money talks about a little, like a light introduction to lending. All of these books have more resources in the back too, which is cool. And then this last one, Shanty Saves Her Money, talks about different ways to save, and then kind of having fun at the end when she spends all of her saved money. So my kids enjoyed those books as well, and they kind of went along nicely with the financial literacy stuff we have been doing. This next book is called While You're Asleep, and it's just all about nocturnal animals. It's in verse, and I just thought the pictures were really cute. And I like reading books to my kids that have to do with, like, at night. My husband usually reads books, but sometimes I will, like if he's traveling or something. And I always like to read books that have to do with falling asleep. I feel like it helps my kids get into the right frame of mind for sleeping. This next book is called Japanese Traditions, and it just goes through the year in Japan. So we lived in Japan for a while when my daughter was really little, so she doesn't remember much, but she loves reading about Japan and learning more about all their festivals and what it's like to live there and all that, because she really doesn't remember much. These next few books we checked out just because they looked like fun. So this is Karubu, a silly South Indian folktale. And my kids thought this book was funny. This next one is Baker Makers. They're all baking a cake, and he has to figure out what he's doing wrong and how to get it right. So I like books like this where it's kind of like persevering through failure. That's a hard skill for kids to pick up, especially my kids. They definitely have some perfectionistic tendencies. This is Tar Beach by Faith Ringgold. Just another kind of art appreciation book that I saw at the library and decided to check out again. We've definitely read this one before, but it's been a while. I don't know that my kids remember the last time we read it. So then we light up the sky with music. These two bears are playing music and bringing joy to the people who hear them. So I thought that was a cute book. And kind of going along with that is Hana Hashimoto, Sixth Violin. So it's talking about how she's persevering, and she does eventually learn to play. This next book is called Goodnight Wind, a Yiddish folktale. And I just thought the paper cut illustrations in this were really cool. And my kids always like listening to folktales. The last kind of picture book we checked out, we've read this book before, but my kids love this book. It's called Where's Halmoni? And it's a graphic novel style adventure with these two kids who are looking for their grandmother, and they have to go on an adventure to find her. And it has Hangul, a Korean Hangul throughout, and then there's a key in the back. So if you're wondering what the characters are saying, you can look in the back to see. So yeah, this is a really fun book. And I have been reading this mystery series by Sujata Masi. The first one's called The Widows of Malabar Hill, and then the second one's The Satapur Moonstone, and then there's a few others in the series. But these are about the first female, they're fiction, so she's a fictional character, but she's the first female lawyer in Bombay. And so she's gets involved in these mysteries and has to help represent her clients and kind of figure out what's going on. And one of the things that I thought was really interesting is that she's Zoroastrian. I don't think I've ever read a book with a Zoroastrian, like a historical fiction book with a Zoroastrian main character. So just reading all about her life and kind of the challenges she faces and all the different details about like her house and her clothing and all of that, I just thought was really, really interesting. So I've been enjoying this series. So I hope you found that helpful. I will link everything in the description box below. I am an Amazon affiliate, so if you click on a link and make a purchase, I do receive a small commission. Thank you for watching.